Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Botback for short. So it's my box watch today, so I'm covering Box, the TV, and I'm covering films as well, a bit of celluloid. Well, they used to make it on celluloid in my day. So let's get on with the TV. So the first thing I'll come to was I got around to watching season 3 of The Mandalorian. So just waited for all the episodes to drop and then we binged it. So like a lot of punters out there, I think this was a weaker season. The first two seasons were a lot of fun, really good. This less so, but what I took from this was how much I really like the character of the Armourer. It does have strong female characters. Grogu's still really cute, and last couple of episodes are really good. It's just that thing, the Mandalorian himself's a top character, but they've chosen to kind of delve into and create a mythology based on a bloke who said a few lines and looked cool in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. So it's kind of fan-driven that way. I do think the Star Wars TV, when it came out with The Mandalorian, people were like, oh, this is how they should do Star Wars. But since then, other TV things have come out of it, and there's still problems. Boba Fett was boring. I enjoyed Obi-Wan, but I can see why people have criticisms of it. And that brings me to, I got around to finishing Andor. If you remember last time I mentioned, I kind of got through 5 episodes of Andor, was bored. Well, my mates recommended it, so look, stick with it. So I went back to it, and yeah, in episode 6, I think it was, they did a kind of raid, and it got really exciting, and then I kind of enjoyed it a lot more, actually. I kind of got the show more, got the darkness of the show and the kind of political context of it, and the Mon Mothma character, and Stellan Skarsgård, making horrible compromises to wage war, really. Definitely on the dark side of Star Wars, like Rogue One. So I did enjoy that. It was too slow. Again, the first 5 episodes, you could have compressed that into 2, maybe 3. I don't know why it was 12 episodes long. But I would say with that, stick with that. It has got some richness to it. I can't remember last time whether I said I watched Gangs of London. So just to say, I did. This was a while, but I did watch Series 2 of Gangs of London. If I did put it in the last box watch, apologise. It might slip my mind. Still a stupid show. Still got ridiculous action. Still, not good really, but there's just something about it you have to watch because, usually someone's getting, beaten to shit, or, it really is. The fights are a lot of fun. If you're not familiar with the show, I think it's Garth Edwards is the kind of creative producer of it, who did the Raid movies. So it has amazing sort of fight scenes and one-take stuff. Again, it's that thing where TV is becoming more film-like. It's shots of London, and things like that look like a sort of ambitious, if someone decides to make like layer cake or a Long Good Friday, it's kind of got that cinematic quality, so it's worth checking out for fun fights and craziness, but it's still a kind of pants, really. Another show I started watching, I went back to, but again I gave up again. I was short of stuff to watch. The Old Man, I watched the first couple of episodes of Jeff Bridges. Just wasn't sure the 3rd episode, I think I got up to, sorry. But I just found it a bit slow, a bit drab, and then I watched the next 2 episodes. I thought, this is just too slow. Can I just forward through to see what happened? Jeff Bridges is great, Eddie Brenneman, John Lithgow. There's just not enough in this show. I could see why people like it. I could see, if you were stuck with something to watch, you would derive pleasure from watching Jeff Bridges. But I just the show doesn't connect with me, so I don't think we'll be going back to that. I also finished off American Horror Stories, which is, some stories are better than others, but it's quite a fun show. These kind of things where you have different horror stories with a kind of thematic link, like the Guillermo del Toro Cabinet of Curiosities. You might get a crap story, but the next one's usually fun. It has good actors. Again, it's a kind of 6 out of 10, but you'll find stuff you like. Okay, so the next thing I watched, I finally got around, this is ages ago, I finally got around to watching Pistol. Not ages ago, it's been out ages. Again, we'd got Disney, it was on my watch list. So I like this, I quite enjoyed this. I thought the guy who played John Lydon was excellent. This is about the Sex Pistols. It's weird seeing the kid from Love Actually as Martin McLaren, but it was good. The lady playing Vivienne Westwood was, she was cool. It's weird, I don't fancy Vivienne Westwood, but I did in this. The girl playing Chrissy Hind was hot. Sorry. It's interesting, Pistol story. Okay, it's from Steve Jones' perspective, so of course John Lydon's, come out against it. But John Lydon would come out against it anyway. That's what he does. He takes a contrarian position. When everyone says yes, he says no. When everyone goes left, he goes right, and vice versa. When everyone says they hate power ballads, he says he likes them. But it's good. It's pretty well done by Danny Boyle. I still think with these things, it's how the creators of it want it to be. It's how they imagine it. The reality of this is probably different. I was amazed to find out that Steve Jones did actually learn to play guitar in a really intense sort of 3-4 week thing, and he did 4 days on Black Beauties, I think, and stayed up. But those Pistol songs, they are kind of like simple power chords and stuff like that. With enough practice, you could execute them. He's got some musical genius. He played them instruments. So that was kind of interesting from that point of view. McLaren, he kind of ripped them off the Advance. The Advances were a lot of money. Yeah, he had to fund the band, but the Pistols got a 40 grand, a 25 grand Advance. Plus another one, I think the Advances totaled 125k, I think. Don't quote me on that. I mean, in today's money, that's easy, near knocking £1 million or certainly 800 grand. That went, and that the inference was that he kind of sidelined Glenn Matlock, because Glenn Matlock was a bit more savvy. I think the thing that came across from this is Glenn Matlock was a good musician. He's a working class guy. Yeah, he got into Clamps Grammar School. He's quite intelligent, savvy, contributed to songs a lot, but just rubbed John Lydon up the wrong way, and John Lydon sided with McLaren. And they got rid of him, but I think McLaren in this, you could see, wanted him out. I think, Sid Vicious just came across an idiot. Really, Sid looks, what I've always thought was Sid, I thought he looks fucking amazing, and that's it. He couldn't play bass, and that's the sort of thing can get in someone's head, if you're in a band, it's one thing to look cool, but if you actually can't do your job, that's going to get in your head. And then the whole Nancy Spungen thing, I didn't realise was a schizophrenic, had really bad problems. And Sid was already using before he joined the Pistols, so this is sometimes people think people get in a band and get into drugs, but some hard drugs, but sometimes people are already using. So the fact they're in a band just exacerbates and encourages that. So that was a tragic side of the story. They just should have got Glenn Matlock to just spike his hair up a bit, Anyway, so Pistol, 6, 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. Next, so let's we'll leave the top ones to last. Daisy Jones and the Six. So it's just 10 episodes on Amazon Prime. This was a really popular book from a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, about an imaginary band based on sort of Fleetwood Mac, really, the trials and love tribulations of them. I like the way it's shot. The acting was really good. The actors, Riley Keough and Sam Claflin, both did their own vocals and are good vocalists. The sort of casting was good. Again, it did pretty good on the 70s media. I still felt with some things that got some things a bit wrong. They kind of sort of had them sort of a bit too hippie-ish for too long to me in the early 70s. And I sort of felt Sam Claflin would maybe have dressed a little more dapper, I don't know. But the music was good. I didn't think it was great, but I think the show started off really good, and I got kind of tired of the characters, and it picked up in the last 2 episodes. I think you just got annoyed with the Daisy Jones character. She was a bit of a mare, and Sam Claflin was just never happy. The only character in the band who really sort of got it was the drummer. The drummer realised had this amazing opportunity, and he was there to enjoy it and suck all the joy he could get from it. The other band members were caught up in other things and complications, and there's a great line from Timothy Olyphant's character, the road manager. He said, some bands, some people don't realise they're the chosen ones. So it was interesting from that. I give it a 6 out of 10. If you like music, interested in music and depictions of music, it's definitely worth checking out. Then we've got Dead Ringers. So this was 6 episodes. This is the Rachel Weisz female-led reboot of the David Cronenberg sort of cult classic. If you've not seen David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers with Jeremy Irons, extraordinary performance, 1988. Really sort of kind of sterile, creepy film. A very dark atmosphere. I enjoyed this. I thought Rachel Weisz was very good. She made it her own. The sort of depictions of their world were really good. The set design on the clinic was good. It managed to stretch out the story and get kind of corporate stuff involved. Jennifer Ely was in it. Very interesting action. Jennifer Ely. I never realised she was American. She was in Pride and Prejudice over here, and she just put on a British accent and had a British accent apparently while she was in the UK. Some people thought she was British. But you see her, she never does lead characters, and she could totally have her own series, but she just does really good supporting parts, like supporting parts, Zero Dark 30 or Contagion. She's very good in it. In this, she's excellent. So yeah, I like this. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's not great, but it is good. And the good thing was only 6 episodes long. There's actually a really good bit where the family of the twins come to stay. And that's good. It's a mum and dad. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I'll definitely check out the next series. So it brings us to the 2 sort of biggies that are finished, which are Barry and Succession. We'll come to Barry first. So I only started watching Barry a few months back, and I just got instantly hooked with the first episode. I had it recommended by May. I just thought it was bloody hilarious and brilliant. And basically the first 2 seasons were in this kind of crazy sort of comedy, violent thing. Series 3 started to take a slightly darker tone, and by the end it finished very darkly. And then Series 4 really flips the switch a bit, and it continues that dark tone. There's not as much comedy at all in Series 4. I think I haven't enjoyed Series 4 as much, but I think if you watched it end to end with no gap, I think you'd sort of appreciate what Bill Hader's done and tried to do. Like I say, it does take a really big twist, but it's still great. This is a great show. It's exceptional what he's done. His direction, his writing, his acting, the work by Sarah Goldberg as Sally, his girlfriend, superb. The guy who plays Fuchs, forgotten the name of the actor. The guy who plays NoHo Hank. I mean, these are just brilliantly realised characters, and of course the incendiary Henry Winkler as the acting coach Gene Cousineau. I think that's the role of his life. I mean, when they write his obituary, yeah, they'll mention the Fonz, but this is Henry. If you want to see Henry Winkler, like, fucking hell, that guy was good. You know, there was more to him than the Fonz. Henry Winkler's performance as the acting coach, Gene Cousineau, is brilliant. So I've loved this show. Like, I haven't liked the last series as much, but I kind of appreciate that it was necessary. I kind of see how necessary it was to go the way it did. And the sort of final bit was a bit of genius. So, you're not seeing Barry, just check it out. The episodes are not more than half an hour long. There's 32 episodes. You know, you could watch 4 episodes a night. You could binge this in a week, 2 weeks. And then Succession. So I just literally watched the last episode of Succession before. So yeah, superb show. I think one thing that struck me today watching it was how I think the music's awesome on this, and I love the theme tune. And the thing I like about the theme tune is the way it's got the dun dun dun. It's got this really structured order with the chords, and it's like really on the beat. If you're a musician, you'll appreciate this. But the melody's kind of a bit chaotic. It's got those odd chromaticisms, and it's as if the chords to the theme tune kind of represent the sort of structure and the corporate structure that the series looks at, and then the theme tune's kind of the psyche, the chaos that the family and the characters. Sorry, that's probably a bit pretentious, but anyway, I just thought I'd put it out there. But yeah, brilliant acting on this show. Brian Cox, Kieran Culkin, Sarah Snook, Jeremy Strong, all exceptional. And then Alexander Skarsgård coming in series 3 as the Swedish modern tech giant. Probably his best performance for me. But this season, really good. If you've not watched it, what I'll say now is I'll give spoilers now. So if you've not watched Succession, there's going to be spoilers now. So I won't watch rest of this review. But what happens is on episode 9 when they basically, call the election early is absolutely despicable. And you don't really see the kind of uprising, the trouble that's caused, but what it points out really is the need to sort of back the winner. And one of the things with the Murdoch empire is Murdoch backed Thatcher, then he backed Blair. Okay, Blair is centre politics, so I'm centre left, centre right in the end. But Murdoch backed him because But if you're in the media, you can't back the loser. Because the winner sells papers, and that's the thing. They want to call an election because they want to be seen to back the winner. You didn't really see the problems this caused, but you saw Kieran Culkin get beaten up, and he probably seemed to have a moment of conscience about it. But the sort of what I took from the ending really was the Sarah Snook character realizes that the only way she can keep any kind of power is Tom's going to be the top dog. She votes to sell, and then she's still married to Tom. She'll have his baby, and the family's still in there. It's still got its links. Obviously the Jeremy Strong character, Kendall, he's just bereft. At the end, I was thought, oh God, he's not going to top himself. But you forget Kendall's a survivor. If he was going to kill himself, he tried before. He would have done it by now, I think. These were just awful people, really. And the other thing is interesting. I read a review and it said the only characters that really loved Brian Cox character were his kids. He was awful. But it's that thing, whatever character was they fear, that's what successful people like. People fear them. Nobody really likes them. So all the people who work for them, or trusted confidence or work with them, they're there because they've got a professional, monetized relationship and they fear them. They don't not like them, but they can never really be friends. So this depiction of that world was really good. The camera work was excellent. The locations, the money spent on this, they went to Savtat in Croatia on one in Series 2, I think, and they hired like a super yacht. And I've actually seen that when I was on holiday, and that's a fair beast. And, they access to things like that. The other thing on the final episode, Kieran Culkin, they're trying to find him, and he's gone out to his mum's, who just happens to have some hideaway in the Bahamas, I'm guessing. It looks like the Caribbean. And it's that thing where he'll have just got on a private jet and gone, and it's that world, this world exists, where in celebrity, in corporate world, where people just get on a private jet and go to one of their many houses and stuff like that. And that's totally and utterly normal. And if you do that, even if you've been poor in the past for a long time, or a certain amount of time, eventually that will become so normalised you'll just forget what you were. And I think that happens in celebrity culture. We saw that in the pandemic. Celebrities sharing stuff. Oh, I'm off to the, my private beach hideaway, or I'm in my, secluded mansion in lockdown. What are you doing this weekend? Actually I'm living in a 1-bedroom flat with 2 kids and I'm fucking skinned. But anyway, that was sort of one of my takes from the show. But probably a classic TV series. I don't know if I loved it as much as some people love it, but it was funny, very funny, and clever dialogue, great acting. Matthew McFadden, really good. Best thing he's done. Okay, so that's my TV. Let's rattle on quickly with the films we've been watching. So I'm really going to skate through this. I can't remember if I mentioned this before, if I watched it. I watched Lamborghini, The Man Behind the Legend. I love Lamborghini cars, particularly the 1960s and 70s ones, not as fussed after the early 80s. This film has got 2 things going for it. It's got a 350 GT in green when they premiere it at the Geneva show in 1963, Geneva Car Show. And it's got a lovely yellow Miura near the end of the film. And that's it, the rest is shit. Okay, that's all you need to go. I think I mentioned last time I watched Minions. Call Jane. If I didn't mention this, Call Jane's got Elizabeth Banks in it. It's about a woman who gets pregnant and goes for an illegal abortion because it's not legal in the state she's in, and she gets together with like a network of women who hire a doctor to perform illegal abortions. It started off really good. It kind of lost its way a bit and it kind of sped up too much towards the end. But Elizabeth Banks was really good. I think she's a really underrated actress. And Sigourney Weaver, who's in it, and she was really good. It's worth seeing. Next film I watched, this is called Herself. My wife recommended this. We taped it. Now, interesting enough, this is the director of Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia is a terribly directed film. But this was good, really good. The actress who's in it wrote it as well. It's about a woman who escapes an abusive relationship and gets the looks into building her own house, like the cheapest house she can build, and a guy helps her out who's played by Conliffe. I forget his second name, but he plays Varys in Game of Thrones. Brilliant, you wouldn't recognise him. Harriet Walter's in it as well, who's in Succession, and she plays the lady who's got the land that she's going to build it on, and the main character's mum used to clean for her, and she's actually a really good egg, and she fronts the money. And it's just really about the sort of this human strength, about the kindness of humans, because the husband's an arsehole and his families are arseholes, and it shows us good in the world. And I won't tell you what happens, but it's powerful, and I really like it, so I'm 8 out of 10. Next up, The Son. This is a kind of parent piece to The Father, the great Anthony Hopkins film. This stars Hugh Jackman, Vanessa Kirby, and it's about Hugh Jackman's remarried, he's got a baby, and his son from his previous marriage comes to live with him. He's got mental health problems. It didn't totally work for me, this film, but the acting was good by Hugh Jackman, the kid playing the son, and Vanessa Kirby. There's a stunning cameo by Hopkins in this. He plays Hugh Jackman's dad. He's only on screen for about 5 minutes, but it's unforgettably brilliant. It's the same director, it's Florian Zeller, I think is his name. It's the same director as The Father, but it's Nee Father, but Hopkins does an amazing cameo. Nope, Jordan Peele's film. Nope. I do not get this. I've got to say, I like Get Out. I didn't like Us, is it? Couldn't get away with that, and I don't like Nope. Waste Daniel Kaluuya. I couldn't really understand what Keke Palmer's dialogue was sometimes. Daniel Kaluuya just kind of sleeps through it. You can see the influence of Close Encounters and things like that. It's got UFOs in it, shadows coming over the top. But I just didn't get it. Bit of so another modern one was Duel. This is DUAL, not the Steven Spielberg classic. This stars Karen Gillan. This is about people with terminal illnesses who have clones made, and then her terminal diagnosis is misdiagnosed, and she has to fight a clone to the death, sort of thing. But I couldn't totally get into this. It's quite satirical. It's worth seeing though. Then I watched a film called Clock as well. This is on Disney. This is a horror film. This is quite interesting. This is about a lady in her late 30s. All her mates have kids. She doesn't want kids. She feels pressure. And then she decides it must be something up with her, why, it's totally not natural to want children. So she goes to a special clinic to get therapy to change her thought processes to make her more maternal. Again, it didn't all work. It kind of rushed the ending, but its depiction of a professional woman feeling pressure to have children and feeling like she should want children, and that conflict of just not being maternal at all was really, really well depicted. Had some good images. Again, it's worth checking out. Then there was Blood. So this is the director. Decession 9. Does The Machinist, Brad Anderson. So this just turned up on my streaming. I can't remember which one. I think it was Amazon. It had the adverts in, when you get your free thing. This was pretty good, actually. Michelle Monaghan, underused actress who I like. It's kind of a spin on the vampire thing, shall we say. It involves a son, and she has to get blood for her son. It's worth seeing. I liked it. It's got some good images, some good atmosphere. Again, this film, like Clock, Blood, they're not great, but they're worth seeing. I checked out another film in this ilk called The Sonata, which wasn't very good. This was just something off Amazon. It was about some composer who'd written some final work, but it hadn't been finished, and his daughter gets left his house. It's composed played by Rutger Hauer, and all sorts of strange things happened. But it was like the idea was the devil has the best tunes. Let's just say that. Another horror watch was Piggy. This is a kind of psychological horror thriller on Sky Cinema. I quite like this. This is about a girl's bullied. Someone gets murdered in the local village, and her perpetrators of a bullying gets kidnapped. But she knows they've been kidnapped, but she forms a weird relationship with the kidnapper killer. Good depiction of bullying, really dark this. Again, not great, but it is good. Worth seeing. Piggy, there's another film called Piggy on streaming as well I've seen, but it's not that one. That's like a Brit thing with Martin Compston, which is okay. The Stranger, this is a film with Joel Edgerton and Sean... Christ, I've forgotten his name. Creepy actor in Mission Impossible films. It's a dark Australian thriller. Again, good atmosphere, about a 6 out of 10. Not great, but worth seeing. Beast. This is Idris Elba, not the Jesse Buckley one. This was okay. He goes out into the Africa visit, South Africa visit his mate, played by with his daughters, played by Charlotte Copley. They get attacked by a lion, and he has to see it off. Perfectly good CGI, perfectly tense, quite good long takes in it. The guy, Balthazar, I can't pronounce his second name, I think he's Icelandic director, did Everest, a few other films. It's perfectly okay, 6 out of 10. Idris is good in it. And Deadshot is a film I just watched last night. This is a 70s set RA themed thriller. Colin Morgan, his wife and unborn child are shot by an English squaddie who gets put on gardening leave from the army and then becomes a Deadshot guy going after terrorists in London. This is at the time of the bombings. Quite a bit more depth to it, actually. Colin, good acting, really good 70s atmosphere on this. My only criticism was really, it was only an hour and 27 minutes long. I felt it could have been a bit longer, this. Not as good as something like 71, but pretty good. I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10. Okay, so that's also Soul as well. I finally got around to watching Soul, which was the Pixar film. Won the Oscar. So this was like a film that went straight to streaming in the pandemic era. This was really good. Quite an interesting story. Really good voice work by Jamie Foxx. Proper jazz in it as well. You can see, what it's trying to do to its young audience, for a young African American audience, would be, look, your ancestors created this amazing music and were key runners and riders in that. So that's quite an educational aspect to it there. But it's quite a crazy plot. They are clever that way, Pixar. It was kind of like Inside Out, which I wasn't fussed with, but this guy kind of ends up in between heaven and his soul's kind of walking around in, I suppose, a sort of halfway house, and then he's going back to his living body. Well, he ends up in the body of a cat. You'll have to watch it. It's a bit mental, but it is good. Right, and the other thing I watched, Christ, was Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre. This is the Guy Ritchie straight to Amazon, Jason Statham thing. So you got Aubrey Plaza in this, Hugh Grant. I quite enjoy this, but when a Guy Ritchie film's going straight to streaming, something's wrong. Guy Ritchie makes films for the cinema. This was a kind of 5 out of 10. But you'll see more of this. You'll just see more directors, being given the budget they want, getting left alone and doing films for streaming. Because they can do what they want. But, Guy Ritchie films, I love them or loathe them. Snatch, certainly Lock, Stock, were part of the zeitgeist, the culture of the time. When you go to streaming, you're not part of anything. But, okay. So, retro things. Sorry, I watched This Is Spinal Tap again. It's still classic. It's still brilliant. If you've not seen it, watch it. Under the Skin, Jonathan Glazer's bizarre Lynchian sci-fi strangeness with Scarlett Johansson. If you've not seen this film, check it out. It's got kind of Scarlett Johansson as an alien driving around in a van, picking blokes up and harvesting them, basically. It's got crazy images, amazing music, but it's also shot in a kind of documentary style, almost like a Ken Loach film. And it goes to some miserable parts of Scotland. You can't really describe it. It's also got an extraordinary scene on the beach. That's all I'll say. But if you've not seen this film, check it out. And then the other thing, we started the Mission Impossible marathon. So we've done 5 films, me and my missus. We've got one more. We're going to watch Fallout, which I still think is probably the best. But anyway, quickly, Mission Impossible 1, great fun. I still really like it. It holds up, I think. Brian De Palma does amazing work on that film. 7.5 out of 10. 2, always hated it at the time. It was actually more enjoyable, and I enjoyed it I still things I didn't like, but it's okay. It's a John Woo film with Tom Cruise with lovely hair. It scrapes to 6 out of 10. Mission Impossible 3, used to like this more, but it was kind of more disappointing. It was always kind of a 7. I liked its grittiness, but it scrapes to a 6. Not very memorable. Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol. A lot of fun, this one. Really good actions, variety of actions, good direction by Brad Bird. Don't know what happened to him, really. He made that film with George Clooney, Tomorrowland. It flopped. But I really enjoyed this. 7 out of 10, probably the second favourite one so far. And then Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Really brilliant chase in this, car chase that goes into a bike chase, which is really well directed by Kristen McQuarrie. Bit muddled, the plot with this. Climax isn't as great. 6 out of 10. Maybe I'll rank them one day. And I watched The Hustler, Paul Newman, and I don't normally like that film, but it was the most I've enjoyed it since the last time I watched it. If you've not seen The Hustler, check it out. It's still very grim, very gritty film with not much faith in humanity. Quite a grubby film. Pool halls look horrible in it. Okay, I've waffled on for 30 plus minutes. I can't believe that. I'll see you again in a few months for this. Cheers.